It was a quiet evening in California, and I had just finished getting ready for bed. The house was warm and peaceful, with the soft hum of the night filling the air. Just as I was about to climb into bed, my husband, James, walked into the room. He had a big smile on his face, the kind that told me he had something special in mind. I had seen that look many times before, and it always meant a surprise was coming. James loved making our life together fun and exciting, always finding new ways to make me feel loved. But tonight, there was something different about the way he looked at me. His eyes held a secret, one that made my heart beat just a little faster. James slowly walked towards me, his eyes never leaving mine. There was something in the way he moved, something soft but full of purpose. He reached out and gently brushed a strand of hair from my face. His touch was warm, comforting, and full of love. I climbed into bed, feeling the cool sheets against my skin, but my eyes stayed on James. He stood at the foot of the bed, watching me with an intensity that made my heart race. The room was quiet except for the sound of our breathing. I knew something important was about to happen. Finally, James spoke. "I have something I want to ask you," he said in a voice that was softer than usual. It wasn't his playful tone, which made me curious. I raised an eyebrow, my heart pounding. "What is it?" I asked, a small smile on my lips. James always had a way of keeping me on my toes. He never stopped surprising me. But tonight, the way he spoke made me feel like this was something more than just a simple question. This was something big, something that would change everything. James walked around the bed and sat down beside me. He reached out and took my hand in his fingers warm and strong. I looked into his eyes and saw something there, a mix of excitement and tenderness. It was as if he had been thinking about this for a long time and was finally ready to share it with me. "Trust me," he whispered. His voice was barely louder than a breath. He searched my eyes, looking for the trust we had built over the years. "I want to try something new tonight." James sat near the edge of the bed and asked me to lie back. "Spread your legs," he said softly, almost hesitantly. It was as if he was testing the waters. My pulse quickened at his words. This wasn't like anything we had done before. Slowly, I parted my legs, and he knelt between them, his eyes filled with love and something else, an intensity I hadn't seen in a long time. "I want to show you something," he murmured. He reached out and gently brushed his fingers along my skin. I felt vulnerable, but there was something exciting about it. James had always made me feel safe, and tonight was no different. I closed my eyes and let myself relax into the moment. What happened next was something I never expected. James leaned in closer, and first could see the look in his eyes. He placed his hands gently on my thighs, making me feel nervous but also excited. I could feel his warm breath against my skin, sending shivers up my spine. Then, to my surprise, he did something I never thought he would do. He kissed me right there. It was soft and gentle, like a whisper. It felt special and intimate, as if we were in our own little world, away from everything else. A soft gasp escaped my lips as the feeling washed over me like a warm wave. It wasn't just something I felt in my body, it was something deep inside my heart. James had always been sweet and thoughtful, but this was something more. It felt like he really cared about me in a way I had never felt before. I could see it in his eyes, in the way he moved, in the way he touched me. It was as if he wanted to know every part of me, not just the outside but the inside too. This new level of care and devotion made my heart flutter with happiness. That night, we didn't need words to understand what we felt. We lay there, side by side, our hands intertwined. James looked at me, his face soft and peaceful. "How do you feel?" he asked. I smiled and squeezed his hand. Surprised, I admitted, but in a good way. That night had opened a door in our relationship. We began to explore each other in ways we never had before. We talked more openly about our desires, our fears, and our dreams. It was freeing to have those conversations without fear of judgment. I realized that intimacy wasn't just about the physical, it was about being vulnerable with each other in every way. Weeks passed, and one day, I started feeling different. I was more tired than usual, and certain foods made me feel sick. It didn't take long before I realized what was happening. I was pregnant. The realization hit me like a wave, but it was a wave of pure joy. When I told James, his eyes lit up with excitement. We had always talked about starting a family, but now that it was really happening, it felt like a dream come true. Months later, after what felt like both an eternity and the shortest time of my life, the big day arrived. To our surprise, we didn't just have one baby, we had two. Twins. A boy and a girl. The joy was overwhelming. James, always calm in every situation, shed tears of happiness as he held them in his arms. Looking at our twins, I realized that everything we had been through had led us to this moment. The trust, the intimacy, the love, we had built something strong and lasting. And now, we had the joy of sharing it with our two beautiful children. Life wasn't always perfect, but with James by my side, first knew we could handle anything together. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe.